Hello everyone, good morning, have a beautiful Friday. Today at Healers Speak, we are hosted by Rick Jarrow. Hello Rick. I am so touched that I have hard time talking. Thank you Rick for having us at your home.
Thank you for being here.
Yes, it was a beautiful ride to come up here with the Taconic Parkway and the snow. And thank you, Johanna Cabrera, for the ride. Thank you so much. So, Healer Speak is at Poughkeepsie, and we are spending a morning with Rick Jarrow, who I consider to be my friend and teacher. And the first thing I want to say is thank you, and I brought a little gift for the land.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. This is some tobacco.
Oh, nice.
And it's some also raw cacao from South America. Yeah.
Both for the land.
Both for the land.
Okay.
Yes. Because in this land there has been a lot of people being healing in this land. And I know Rick's home is a place of healing, where people come here to heal. And so I'm deeply touched to be here, and also thanks to all the relations that bring us together in this beautiful meeting. So Rick, please tell us a little bit about you.
If you, well, thank you, Sylvia. Thank you. It's great to have you here. If you would have asked me this question even 5 years ago, I might have given you a very different answer. So all I can tell you is that there is no me. This idea of me, we carry around the narrative of the ego, our past, our this, that, and it's and we identify with these stories, and they become what we call me. But if you really look for me, where is it? Like, if I cut off my arm, is that me? If I stop thinking, is that me? If I'm is American me? You know, is male me? There's so much obsession where I am around me, like university, around identity, gender, race, politics, and it's all significant. But is any of that me? So I can't really tell you much about me because there's nothing to say. I'm sorry.
I like that.
I'm sorry. There's all I can say. Like, there's this moment. There's this, and this moment is so precious and so beautiful and so wonderful. And I actually ran into a quote by of all people. You know who Janis Joplin was? Yeah, Janis Joplin, and she said, "There's only today." You know, there's only today, and so, you know, me today, snow, wind, trees, earth, air, fire. That's plenty. Yeah.
Thank you so much for this. Is true. As well as it is true that you know, the question that I'm hearing is teachers. You're a teacher and you are doing so much. The way I perceive you is you're channeling divine light and spirit. But who would you consider to be your teacher?
Oh, that's a great question. That I have so many, and I love them so much. I'll tell you about so many of them. When I was, I don't know, a teenager, I was, I don't know, collecting a crate of fruit, and I ran into a guy in a parking lot who asked me if I had some food, and I gave him this crate. And he just looked at me, he said, "You'll never be hungry." And that was a teacher. My high school basketball coach was a great teacher, because what makes someone a great teacher? Nothing. It's your relationship to them. If you have a connection to somebody. He loved me, he just really connected. And I've had some wonderful teachers in India. Bhaktivedanta, Gyanananda, Sripad Baba. They were yogis. They were all about different ways of realizing truth, God, existence, different ways of, but dedicating yourself to that experience. One of my teachers used to always say that this human life is the opportunity for God realization, and no one's taking it. But I always wondered, because in the Indian teaching, it's all about consciousness and rising up above negative emotions and thoughts and just being in the free, open light of eternity. I always wondered, what about sweeping the street and who's gonna? Even when I was I think 17, when my ego self was 17, I was about to leave for India, and my then girlfriend's father was very upset with me, and he said, "If everyone did what you do, who would run the gas stations?" And I gave some wise ass answer. I said, "If everyone did what I did, we wouldn't need gas stations." But as I matured a little bit, I began asking this question. Because if I was just meant to be in the light, then why did I take a body? Is it a punishment? Or is there a reason to be embodied that we have to realize? Is there something we're doing here? And that's when I met Hilda. And Hilda was this woman who, they used to call her Electric Swami. She was very, very high. And she had been in a lineage. She had gone to India before it was fashionable, spent 20 years in meditation there. She was gifted when she was 15 years old. But what impressed me about Hilda was, number one, she was a model, to me, of a strong woman, like the new woman, if you will, because so many male yogis and gurus had asked her to become the mother of my ashram, and she always said no. Just do her thing. And her thing was how to maintain your consciousness and live in the world.
Real Shakti.
So she had there was never any the 10 teachings of Hilda, the 3, none of that stuff. It was you'd be riding in the car or you'd be driving and you'd step on the gas, you get a little impatient, and she'd say, "Dear, are you sure you're in your right place?" Or you'd be on the telephone and the phone, you know how you go crazy with these phone trees, you can't reach a person, and I'd start getting really anxious. "Oh dear, you're getting impatient, dear?" That was how she taught, situationally. And she kind of gave me my quote mission, career, work, whatever, in that she would have me go into her, she lived in a little apartment and only one room was hers. And she took me in her room one day and said, go meditate for 2 hours. So I just sat there for 2 hours, and then I'd come out and she'd say, "Kid, so what did you see? What did you experience?" And I was trying to be really authentic, and I said, "Well, nothing, Hilda. I just sat there." And she said, "Okay, kid, I want you to start writing from this space." And then once she said, "Start speaking from this space." So she taught me how to channel what's going on inside just spontaneously. And so she was a great model, and I really liked, I did everything I could to hang out with her. And then every once in a while, we'd have someone come through who was really having trouble, psychosis, we would call it, really mental. And she would say, Got to take him to Orestes. We got to take him to Orestes. Who is this Orestes? You know, it took me a couple of years to get there. And one day she was going, I was in, how can I go? You know? And Orestes was this big guy, and he kind of, if you saw him, you think he was like a truck driver. He's just this big guy, and he didn't take care of himself. He was diabetic, and he drank cotolito, you know, with lots of sugar. And he had never worked. You know, he worked with the Spanish community. He didn't work with English-speaking community. Hardly knew English, but he loved Hilda. He recognized Hilda. So whenever Hilda needed help clearing some stuff off, or someone was in a lot of trouble, she'd take him, and he'd do his thing. And so I was there, and I who is this guy? What's, you know, what? And he spoke enough English. He said, finally he looked at me. He said, "Mister," he said, "you have a blind man in your aura, and I'm going to get him out."
Oh my God.
And I said, okay. So he had me lie down on the floor. I just trusted. And then I got really a moment of what's going on here, because he came out with a straight razor, alcohol, and cotton. Shit, this guy's going to cut me up. But he never touched me with any of it. He did it all like a spirit operation. And he said, go home. And I slept for 2 days. And I said, whoa, who is this guy? And I got intrigued. But I think the other reason, and what eventually happened through my colleague Ron Young, he set up a day like Gringo Day. You know, you come on Monday nights and Wednesdays, and he would, you know, Ron would he'd speak to Ron, and Ron would speak in English, and this relationship began where for 5 years we go to his place, you know, once, twice a week, and the real thing that was going on, it took me a long time after he passed to realize this. Because what people teach is not what they say. You know, it's what they are. And he modeled for me what a strong male, a strong, open-hearted male was like. I'd never seen that. I'd seen strong men who were violent, and I'd see these weak kind of hippie, you know, and he was really masculine. It was like Hilda taught from the 4th chakra up, and Orestes taught from the 4th chakra down. And he just, he was just such a beautiful. It wasn't like he didn't have to say anything. He would sit there with person after person. And I once saw him. He was a healer. He was an exorcist. He was a santo. He had many lineages, Afro-Cuban lineages. And with us, he only did the lineages he thought we could handle. He did the spiritualist lineage, you know, the New Age. But sometimes when we were with him, just a couple of us, or alone, he would show us the mayambe, the really heavy, earth stuff. Yeah, and he just sat there day after day, year after year. And once a friend of mine brought his mother for healing. But his mother was a bit, we would say, crazy, and couldn't walk anyway. So she couldn't know she was going to a healer. And so the whole time she was there, Orestes just talked to her, and she had no idea that he was working on her. And she was talking about the world's going to blow up, and everyone's going to die, and the end of the world is coming. And Orestes said, "Mama," he said, "in the end, it's going to be just peace and love." And so I developed a deep bond and an appreciation for that kind of masculine power, love, and his willingness to work with anyone who came to see him.
And the simplicity.
Yeah.
And simplicity. And it seems like what you're referring, which was a beautiful, touching story, is that you had both Hilda as the feminine and then Orestes as the masculine. and that gave the Sri Yantra.
That's nice, yeah.
Base for you. And one thing I want to share with the people that are watching us, it is truly my experience of sitting with Rick and the teachers that he's channeling right now. My heart is opening. There is this energy of where I feel this expansion. And this is what he means by saying a teacher is teaching just by his presence. And I'm sitting here and everything that was happening to me before, fear, doubt, whatever was happening to me, closed heart, which I experienced altogether being aware, now is melting. And so that is the experience. I wanted to share a little bit about the books that he wrote. The one inspired me is, and there are a lot of books. The one inspired me was Creating the Work You Love. It's a beautiful book. And there are so many. I just wanted, if you wanted to share with us.
You know, there's nothing to share except that I will say, this might be helpful. I've been giving the workshop, Creating the Work You Love, for many years. And people kept asking me, when are you going to write a book? When's the book coming? And it wasn't coming. And I was really good with that. I said, like, it will get born when it wants to get born. It's not like, I have to write a book. And it's funny, this book got born when my father died. And I don't know the connection, but you know, I was with my father like the last month of his life every day. I'd hold a cigarette for him. And all of a sudden, like, just came, when he died, it just came through. Now, Orestes used to say something beautiful. He used to say, everybody has their own river. And you have to swim in your own river, or else you drown if you try to swim in someone else's river. And the whole point of Creating the Work You Love is not a secret formula, but how to honor your own river and do what you came here to do. Because it gets back to this question, like, why do we take bodies? There was a big argument about this in the 12th century, you know, between the church and the Manichaeans. And the Manichaeans were agnostics who, they said, well, the whole world is illusion, and the only reason you're born here is because you're stupid. And so you should get out, you know. And the church said, well, that would be true if it wasn't for the incarnation of Christ, if it wasn't for Christ. And like that incarnation of love and that truth makes this realm important, like makes what we do here significant. And I always, when I was a kid, I'd walk around and I'd ask everyone, why are we here? And everyone would get upset with me. You know, they say, like, don't French fry my brain, you know. And it took me a while to really kind of get through all the stories that society has implanted. It's like implants in people's minds, and it keeps going on, that you're here to compete, you're here to do this, you're here to that. And you mentioned before that I was a teacher. But actually, I remember I was once in this ashram with Prem Varney in Rishikesh many winters ago, and he looked at me, he said, you have teaching ego. So like, that's the role, but that's still not me. But then, like, why, you know, what do we come here to do? And this word that you used earlier, I don't know, before camera maybe, healing. I really feel like that's the only reason we're here. We're here to heal our hearts and heal all of our relations. Because you can't heal yourself. It's all, you know, you're in such amazing relationships with so many people and places. And that is what this is all about. It's simply, can you work in such a way that it furthers the healing of you and the people around you, instead of being like this struggle to make enough money to survive? Is there a way to transform that? And the thing is, what people don't realize is making money to survive is important. It's the first chakra, like it's your initiation. If you don't pass that initiation, then you wind up being dependent on organizations and people and so on and so forth. But then, ideally, that moves into something else. It's how can I make a contribution? The only other thing I'll say is, since I was more in the past, but so influenced by India, and what I did in creating the work you love is attach vocational issues to the chakra system, so you could do it as a meditation and just work up. And I remembered at one point when I was trying to get the book published, the publisher said, "This is a great book. All you have to do is take out the chakras and we'll publish it." And that was like another test. I said, no, I am chakras, it has to be the authentic voice. That's kind of that story.
Yes, there is so much here and there's so much to process, but there is another thing I want to share, and thank you for this story. It is also a very different experience to be in a discussion with someone that can hold the space. That is also what I'm learning, because I'm sharing with you the experience of this new, it's like alchemy. It's alchemy being created in this moment. And I am hearing that I would want to ask you the question that I came here for today. It's a little selfish, it's for me, this question, but I think that the world will benefit. As you said, this picture that I am putting together of you, I perceive you as a mystic, as a lover of the, I'm going to say the word, the occult and the ancient knowledge of the spirits of creation, the everlasting sound of the Om. And this is what I perceive. And so when I asked you what you do, you said, I do nothing, and that was pre-camera conversation. And I said, you're shining the light. And my question as a woman who lives in this age and time is, for who you are, what has kept you going?
Great question. That's a really good question. What sustains you? It's a question I ask people that a lot in workshops. But for me, there's only one thing that's always sustained me, and it's the only thing. And people don't like the word so much, but it's my faith in God. That is the only thing that I have. And I was blessed with faith. I didn't have to, figure it out. I first heard about God when I was 6 years old. And I just knew. I said, this is real. And then I heard again, and I heard again. But what does that mean? It doesn't mean for me a belief. People wear the costumes. I'm a Buddhist. I'm a medicine person. I'm a it's nice. You can play dress up. But God is everything. It's not limited. It's the unlimited. So therefore, how does that sustain? What sustains me? It's the willingness to trust that each one of us is here for a reason, and that all I have to do to discover that reason is relax and just let it be. I was asked very early on by Ram Dass. He said, "Do you have enough faith to stop thinking?" So that sustains me. And the way it sustains me is, and this is just my thing, everyone has their own thing, the way I receive that nourishment is by the amazing beauty I see around me. I'm just amazed. Every day I look at the trees and the changing of the seasons and the clouds and the water, and I'm just like, a friend of mine once said to me once, hey, what if this is heaven? Look at all the things that you know, and it's this amazing beauty. And I know the doubting mind will come in and say, yeah, that's true, but what about all the ugliness? And that's important, because it's not that I refuse to engage the ugliness, but I see the ugliness in the context of the greater context, which is the greater beauty. And it's interesting, I met somebody in India just a few weeks ago who I'd known about. I heard his name like years and years and years ago, decades ago. And he was supposed to be quite a adept, Swami of sorts. And we were talking, and he was telling me how twice in his life he had lost everything. He was out on the road hitchhiking, not a penny in his pocket, not a telephone number to call, and he just, okay, God, you tell me where you want me to go. And it's that kind of faith. And the other, I shouldn't say, I might have been born feeling that, but people had to light my candle. So when I saw people like Hilda or Gyanananda who exhibited that faith, I said, wow, this can really happen. And that's what sustains me. And there are times when you go through things and it challenges your faith. And I think that's part of the process, because if you can go through it and go through the darkness and the doubt with your heart open, you staying open, it sooner or later becomes an initiation. But we are not, it's very easy to fool yourself and everybody else with spirituality, as opposed to who you really are. And can we trust all of us, not just the part of me that prays, but the part of me that likes to watch TV or whatever? We're going to trust all of us.
Yeah.
That's so when I was when this body anyway, there was a moment where I was like between life and death in the hospital, and a very old mentor came in. He was a rabbi. He was 75, and he said to me, he said, well, do you want to live or do you want to die? We went right to the point. And I said, it doesn't matter, because life and death are one. Now, that's the right answer, but it wasn't the truth. You see, that's how spirituality can trick you. So he pointed, there was a mirror on the wall. He said, you see that mirror? I said, yeah. He said, well, you and I both know that there's something behind the mirror. But right now we're here. So do you want to live or do you want to die? And I still couldn't answer. I just couldn't. And then later on in the afternoon, a very well-meaning resident doctor came in, gave me an injection, and said, trying to help me, he said, don't worry, you still have a lot of fight left in you. And this anger just came through me, because that I wanted to live. Like, how dare you even think that I couldn't make it? Then I realized, okay, now I could admit it. Yeah. I want to live. So I think the faith is not out there. It's the faith to really be whoever yourself. And if people don't like it, you could let them blame God, because He made us. Or she made us,
I was just going to say, he or she.
She made us, so... Yeah.
So shine your light, and shine your light. There is so much here for all of us, but I want to stand for a moment in beauty, and I share a small experience. And recently, the last hike I went was up in the Adirondacks, and it was before winter. And after healing work and the beauty I saw there. First of all, I had such a deep desire to see animals. First time in my life I felt so drawn to be with animals, with deers, with animals, with wild animals, with eagles, with animals, and that beauty of nature that you mentioned broke my heart. And I said, how can we harm this earth when we see so much beauty? The beauty, I received the message or the teaching of beauty, which is what you're mentioning, sustaining the vision, the connection with the earth, and all that. So that's where pointing in the conversation that I deeply related with you. Also a lot more about life and death, and also the point, I'm deeply aware from certain experiences that there is a true decision to live or die, and that it seems that we know, or there is a true decision. If we keep waking up every day and saying, I want to live, I want to enjoy this beauty, I really want to live, and shine this light of who I am, or who Spirit, is guiding me through. And I hope that this is not, this is comprehensible to people, and just, way to feel it and find it inside yourself. I know we can stay here forever and talk forever, but in closure of this, Rick, please, if you want to tell us a little bit about the workshops, or.
Oh, before we go there, just
yes.
I mentioned, for me, the desire to live, life and death are like in this constant embrace. And if I'm not willing to die, I'm not really living. I'm holding on to some idea, this is my life, I can't let it go. And then when I'm willing to die, all of a sudden, like, there's life, like there's no separation. And it's simply, for me, appreciating what there is, appreciating all, just this, and I have tremendous compassion and amazement and sorrow at the world I see around me, because my understanding is human beings were made to experience love, ecstasy, peace, gratitude, awareness, act heroically, and community. And instead, I'm just seeing people angry at what somebody else said. So the question is, what can I do? And I'll end with this. When I first met Gyanananda, who was my teacher in the Himalayas, first time I met him, I think I was like, this body was 24 years old or something. And I was saying, what should I do with my life? kind of stuff. And he said, just, how did he put it? Practice awareness. He said, be aware of everything. He used a different word. Witnesses, be the witness. I said, okay. So I came back like 25 years later. And I said, okay, I've been witnessing. I said, now what? I've gone, and he said, and it seemed, I didn't really catch how important what he was saying. He said, everybody you meet is sent to you by God. That was it. And that, that's everybody. Especially like when I'm really clicking, when I'm really connected, I'm like feeling good with all the people who my mind may not like. But I'm just connected, and I see their beauty. I don't, and that is so rich. So I still have a little teaching ego in me. And,
Thank God for us.
and the reason for that is because I also feel that what people are missing, what is needed for growth right now are conscious types, new types of community. I don't think you can't do this by yourself because you weren't born by yourself. But in the past, we had these very close-knit communities, but they controlled everybody. You know, if you say this, you're excommunicated. If you wear that, you can't be with us. So I see the challenge right now for us is how to be free and be together at the same time. That to me is what I'm working on. And so I've always seen the workshops as a way, like a kind of interim, you know, practice of community, hoping for something better. So in mid-April, I'm going to be back at the New York Open Center, where I haven't been in a year and a half. That should be fun. Creating the work you love. And again, how do these things happen? I didn't call them. There's this wonderful singer, Sylvia Nakash, who does these like voice programs and teaches singers, and she was doing her thing at the Open Center, and she asked them if they can bring me in to do it. So these mysterious connections. And then we're thinking in early May, mid-May, to do something up here with some real earth healers. People who, like Johanna with prayer, and Evan Pritchard, who knows the whole history of the area, and Skip Schuckman, who is a permaculture wild man, and just get people outside and kind of relearn how to live with our earth and our water and our air and our fire, and to really honor that in a new way. Because I feel that they both, the ancient ways and the future ways, they have to, it's like tantra, they come together. So we have that going on in mid-May, and
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We are going to put this information under this video. I want to share how grateful I am to be here today and to share this with you. I want to share that the Healer Speak is a real life experience. Like, I'm not sitting there waiting online for people to say, oh, this is a real event and relationship and transmission of light. And also I want to acknowledge and share with you that in this point in life I am observing all the teachers that I'm connected with are coming together for the ways of the earth. This is the awakening that is happening, to share how to live in a new way, to share and connect deeply with the earth. I want to say thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Very much.
I'm going to be in Greece this summer for a workshop in Greece. That should be interesting. In Athens.
That is incredible. When are you going to be in Greece?
Beginning of July.
Wow, I might actually
That
be
could
around.
That could be very interesting.
Yes, and there's so much to share about Delphi. Maybe in another magical place, maybe another occasion. One last thing I want to say. I honor your heart today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aho.
Bye, everybody. Thank you. We love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.